Time. We talk a lot about Bitcoin, Simon. Wonder whether it's a fad? Well, a wave of investors are actually voting with their wallets. Bitcoin startup BitPay just raised $30 million in new funding. That, in fact, is the largest amount of funding a Bitcoin company has ever received year to date. With us now, Stephen Pair is the co-founder and CTO of BitPay, which processes Bitcoin. Stephen, tell us a little bit about your business. Are you trying to become here the Visa and MasterCard of Bitcoin?
Well, that's very flattering, but yes, we're trying to be the leader in Bitcoin business solutions. And today we provide payment processing services for Bitcoins for merchants, and in the future we'll branch out into other areas as well.
Well, maybe the appropriate question then is, with the growth of Bitcoin as a technology and a payment system, are you trying to displace the Visa and MasterCards of the world?
I suppose you could say that, yes.
30 million in funding, that certainly gets your attention. So does Jerry Yang and Richard Branson. You've signed up as investors here. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that's correct. We've always felt that BitPay should be a good home for capital for venture capitalists that are seeking exposure to the Bitcoin space. Tony and I believe that from day one when we started the business over 3 years ago.
Isn't it likely, though, that at some point you're going to get innovation from the likes of Visa and MasterCard, and they're going to come in and kind of crush your space? Once they acknowledge that digital currencies are here to stay, if they do that, a big move from them could be very dangerous for you, I would have thought, no?
Well, when we were first contemplating this business, we looked at what it would take to solve the payment fraud problem with credit cards, which were designed in the 1950s. And our conclusion was that you would end up reinventing Bitcoin. And so that gave us a lot of confidence going forward that if and when MasterCard and Visa do get into the space, that they would actually leverage the Bitcoin technology rather than kind of directly compete with it.
What do you mean? That they would buy you? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily that they would buy us, but they would certainly leverage the Bitcoin technology.
Your website, Stephen, says that you have about 30,000 merchants on board with you. When do you expect this to be more mainstream? Because we don't see it from, we've seen Overstock.com, we've seen some big players, WordPress, but the major retailers, the major merchants, when do you think they'll catch on?
I think a lot sooner than people imagine today. I think many of them are looking at it already and sort of evaluating and projecting what the future 2 to 3 years out is going to look like.
How quickly are you signing up merchants to your program?
500 to 1,000 new merchants a week.
And do you vet them? Because the concern is that people are using Bitcoin in some instances for illegal activity. Do you think that some of the merchants you have could be involved in illegal activity? And how will you stop that for fear of, I don't know, at some point the DOJ getting involved?
Well, certainly criminals using Bitcoin is something that does concern us. And as a Bitcoin company, we feel the responsibility to do everything we can to stop that and prevent that. So yes, when we onboard a merchant, we put them through a series of background checks and give them a very basic level of processing to start with. And once they want to go to higher levels of processing, we require additional background checks.
As you know, there's been some bad press around Bitcoin. Mt. Gox certainly did not help with the disappearance of, what, $450 million worth of Bitcoins. How do you get past these struggles, which you as a believer say this is really going to be a game-changing technology, when people hear headlines like that?
Yeah, it's part of the early growing pains, and a lot of people say, well, perhaps that creates an opportunity for a competitor to Bitcoin to come along. But I would argue that if a new entrant into the cryptocurrency space provided substantially the same benefits as Bitcoin, that you would see criminals use that system as well. So we just have to continue to shore up the system and make sure it's not abused by criminals, and then move forward.
Your vision of Bitcoin in the future, is it actually as an alternative currency, say to the US dollar, or more of a technology around payments?
It's a technology, a platform, and a protocol for payments on the internet. A lot of people don't realize that you can actually send dollars and euros and other kinds of contracts over the Bitcoin network.
And what do you have in the future with your relationship with Richard Branson? I know Virgin is certainly a high-profile customer. You want to have him on your side. You can help send people to space using Bitcoin. How else is he going to be involved in your business?
Yeah, I think Richard is just really excited about any company that's doing really innovative things, and certainly we feel like we're doing that. We kind of wondered whether we would have to rebrand ourselves as Virgin Bitcoin, but he didn't ask us to do that.
It may come. It may come.
What do you think Bitcoin is worth? We're trading right. I mean, that's a big topic of conversation, right? It went all the way up to 1,000 and then came back down. Still in the what? 400s, 500s. Is it undervalued, overvalued, fairly valued?
I believe it's undervalued. Certainly, as it grows as a payment system, you're going to see it have this sort of S-curve-like adoption cycle. In the long run, I think Bitcoin will be more of a safe asset that has very modest price appreciation. But certainly, right now, what you're seeing is a sort of technology growth kind of circumstance.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you and seeing your company just raise $30 million. Stephen Pair is the co-founder, CTO of BitPay.
Thank you.